Movies with Ron.
Hell yeah, motherfucker.
Movies with Ron.
Holy shit, welcome back.
Oh ho, welcome back, guys, to the part 2 of our Thanksgiving 2-part special of
My Science Project.
All right.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys had fun last week.
I know I did.
Yeah. I want to hear the rest.
Well, me too.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Ron.
It's a special occasion, man.
Yeah, how so?
Well, for the first time since starting the show, we have a guest.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Say hello to our sister, Candy.
Hey,
Hello.
everybody.
Hey, Candy, what's going on?
I am just so excited to be here.
Hell yeah, we're excited to have you.
I love this show.
Yeah?
Good, thank you.
I listen to it every week.
All
Well,
right.
Thanks for coming.
We found our listener. Rick is absent this week due to not feeling well, and filling in for him on the soundboard is our sister Candy.
Yes, I am the supplemental sibling for tonight.
All right.
That ruins it. I was going to do an impression of Rick and do him all day.
You know what? Go ahead.
Hey, guys.
Hey, everybody.
All right. My Science Project.
Yeah.
You remember this movie at all, Candy?
I do. It was pretty epic when we were younger.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. She used to watch it with us.
You were describing this scene last week of the two guys
Uh-huh.
in typing class.
Yeah.
Remember that shit?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever do typing class?
Very briefly.
Do you think kids still do it?
I think so.
Or are they like born with the skill now?
Oh, man, I don't know.
So like naturally occurring?
I'm pretty sure computer classes start in, like, elementary school now, so.
Yeah. But back then, computers were first coming out, and the government was like, we may need some of these people when they're grown up to press some buttons to drop some bombs.
Oh, that's right.
We better teach them how to use computers.
Yeah, they weren't even on computers in the movie. They were on typewriters.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Young people are like, what the fuck are they talking about? So, Ron, this Fisher Stevens guy
Oh, yeah, man. Love them.
from Early Edition, yeah. He was good in that. Remember him in that?
No.
He was like the guy's friend. I don't fucking know.
Oh, so he's like playing the same type of character he played in Short Circuit?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was a little different in Short Circuit.
He was. He was playing an Indian guy.
Yeah. He was Short Circuit's Mickey Rooney from Breakfast at Tiffany's. Is that
Yeah.
Mickey Rooney?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Big no-no.
Yeah. Racially distasteful stereotype. His name was Ben Jabituya.
Yeah.
Okay.
He does him pretty good.
I'll tell you what, man. He was fucking amazing.
Yeah, like if you never saw My Science Project, you'd be like, oh, wow.
Oh,
You know, this
that's cool. They found a cool Indian guy to be in this movie.
Yeah, he did all right.
Hell yeah, man. He's always talking to fucking Steve Guttenberg and like saying like weird fucking shit. He was like, "Oh, her pants are blazing for you, Newton Crosby." I am sporting a tremendous Woody.
All right, so what's with this guy?
All right, I want to issue an apology to Dennis Janssen in Amsterdam. He actually requested that we do Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Oh,
And I didn't. I ended up doing My Science Project. So, Dennis, I'm sorry, man.
yeah, we can't go back and do it. We got Bad Santa coming out, and
Yeah.
all that other.
You know what? I'm just
Stuff.
not a fan of the Harry Potter lore. I just never have been. You know, I tried the first one, and the second one, and after that. But I do understand that many people love them. Okay? Heather, who is joining us in the studio for the first time in forever, is looking at me like, you bastard. But you know what? I've just never been that big on them.
What about you, Candy?
No, they got really popular, and I just never took a chance on them.
Candy never really has liked popular things.
But so many people love them. I feel like I kind of miss the boat sometimes.
I am wondering now myself if it was a mistake to not go and see it.
That dude who's in it, he's like a big deal.
The young guy?
Yeah, the dude.
He's like a big deal now because of this, or
Well, he won the Oscar.
Oh, that's
for
right.
Playing what's his name?
Stephen Hawking?
Yeah.
Have I missed out on all the Dennis Hopper impressions
I
from
don't
the
really
first
do.
show?
I don't do Dennis.
I really
Yeah.
find that hard to believe.
We just had decided that he wasn't able to do it that much. he can do Dennis Hopper from Blue Velvet, but that's only because the lines are memorable.
We got any news?
No.
I got some.
All right, lay it on me. This is in the news.
The new Highlander reboot has a director.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's the guy who directed John Wick.
Ah.
Uh-huh. That shit's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Come on, man. Fucking Highlander, give me a break.
All right.
All right, you don't like that? How about this? Legendary Pictures has just struck a deal and has gained the film and television rights to Dune.
Oh.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
They haven't made that enough times.
they haven't. They have not.
All right.
The title of the article was "We Have Worm Sign." I'm gonna love it.
That should still be like an HBO thing. They
No,
should do Dune.
Oh, yeah.
They should.
That's a good idea.
Dune should be what they replace Game of Thrones with.
ooh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I am okay with that.
Well, maybe you'll like my recommendation this week.
Let's hear it.
Candy, you ever seen a film from 1989 called Society?
No. No, I haven't.
Hell yes.
Oh man, I'll just go ahead and announce this. We found this movie freely on YouTube.
Yeah, is it,
Yeah.
we found
One
it.
of
but
those
it was,
cases where they break it up into like 10 parts.
Oh yeah.
Now this film, according to the director, who is Brian Yuzna, he made Bride of Reanimator, Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, Return of the Living Dead 3.
I've actually heard of him.
He came up with these special effects gags for this movie and then wrote the movie around them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened. And,
Well, they're pretty fucking awesome.
oh yeah, here's the it's got a simple synopsis. An ordinary teenage boy discovers his family is part of a gruesome orgy cult.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more to it though. They're like not humans.
Well, I got the feeling that I know I said that thing about the director, but it felt like a movie that every like young writer wants to make about a guy who doesn't fit in, and everyone else is like a fucking weird cult person, and like every writer kind of like has this, and it's sort of a rite of passage that every writer has to like put his toys down and become a man
Sure.
or woman. Because
Whoa,
that's what
man. Whoa, man.
because that's what these selfish kind of stories are. They're kind of like a young person's toys. And
Everybody's against me.
yeah, Society is like one of those that managed to get made with a big budget.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. And it's like a rich kid. Like he's in a rich family.
Yep.
But everyone's blonde and he has dark hair.
Uh-huh.
And he's so grounded and down to earth. And all of his rich family and friends and everyone at his high school, they're all, those LA types, rich LA types, snobs, stuck up.
Yeah, high society.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't fit in.
Yeah.
No one understands him.
And it turns out that it's completely rational that he doesn't fit in because
That's right.
they're a bunch of crazy orgy cultists.
Uh-huh.
And it ends up,
They're like fucking aliens.
well, you don't know if they're aliens. I mean, they're the people that the person who wrote this story would never be.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what they represent. And it's very clearly translated at the end of the film with the shunting.
Don't bring up the shunting yet.
I don't think we can describe the shunting.
What is the shunting?
Oh,
I can't tell
will.
you. You have to see this movie.
I can
The
describe the shunting.
They call it the shunting.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit.
Like
and
the kid, he has a sister who is blonde and like fits in with high society and stuff. And she's like, debutante. And they keep talking to her about this shunting that's coming up. They're like, oh, no, come on, dear. Oh, no, yep, it's your first shunting. Don't worry, it happens to everybody on their first shunting. Okay, and like throughout the movie, all this other weird shit happens. Like at one point, there's like this weird kind of incestuous curiosity scene where he ends up like by accident spying on his sister, seeing his sister in the shower, but then like sticking around too long. All right.
Yeah.
And he's like, she's in the shower. Okay. And it's the glass shower doors that are all like frosty. Okay. And she's like soaping her naked body up. She's hot. Okay. And she's like pressing her butt up against the glass. And that's what makes him stay to watch. Okay. And then all of a sudden, with her butt cheeks still pressed on the glass, her upper torso turns around and her boobs then press on the glass.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what the fuck? And then he is also like scared and entranced.
It's freaky.
Yeah, it is freaky.
Like they got a good makeup person to do this movie.
Oh yeah, man. It's like somebody like I guess no one's really heard of since, but pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Especially when he did the shunting. Okay, now the
You
shunting.
can't describe the shunting. All right, folks, listening. This movie is by no means good, and even through research, I learned that some scenes never got filmed, and some were taken out by the studio, and it was kind of like scrapped together. But this film is worth watching for the experiment alone, in just how this movie got made and what it represents, and if only to make it to the end to find out what the shunting is.
So you're not going to let me talk about the shunting?
All right, don't spoil it too much, man. It is amazing.
It is amazing. Okay, I won't do it.
I want to hear about this shunting.
Maybe we should do this as an episode.
Maybe.
I mean, you could even watch this movie just to see a bad 80s movie. you
Yeah.
know, and just to like make fun of it with your friends and shit. But I will guarantee you that at the end, when the shunting happens, none of you will be talking.
Yeah. You cannot unsee the shunting.
Oh.
Give him one clue.
All right. Here's your one taste of the shunting. It involves our hero shoving his hand up the ass of the rich bully that's been fucking with him the entire time throughout the movie, grabbing the inside of his face, and then yanking his body inside out.
Oh my gosh.
God.
Out through his ass.
If that doesn't convince you, nothing will.
The shunting.
Yeah.
This movie is called Society.
All right.
It's not called The Shunting.
It probably should have been. But yeah, it's 1989's Society.
Fucking love it.
I can't believe I missed this movie.
You know what? I can't either.
It's amazing.
But yeah, look it up on YouTube. It is, it's been a year or two since we watched it, but it was split up into like 8 parts.
Okay.
So, Candy, you're a big fan of the show, huh?
I actually am.
All
I
right.
listen to it every week.
Thank you so much. What do you like about it?
Well, but even before the show, I can remember you telling me movies that were absolutely hilarious and sounded great, and then in real life were a total letdown. Just because you retell them so great.
Yeah, Candy is actually one of the main reasons why we started this, is her opinion of my movie telling abilities.
Yeah.
Other than Chris's professional drive to actually start it. So, what are some of your favorite episodes or moments from episodes or something like that?
Oh my gosh, my favorite episodes. I still haven't seen the new Ghostbusters, but that episode made me laugh so hard. I actually don't want to see it because it'll ruin it.
Oh yeah, it will. It absolutely will. That movie sucks.
I really enjoyed it at this point.
Yeah, that movie was garbage.
Lights Out, fantastic episode. I think I've listened to that maybe 2 or 3 times on road trips just for
hell
fun. Yeah. The Magnificent Seven, great one.
Yeah, that was fun.
And I don't even like Westerns. Doctor Strange, best one so far. And that movie had so many details in it. I do not know how you remember everything.
It's
Oh
just
my
a
gosh.
thing. Heather, what's your favorite episode?
The Shallows.
The Shallows.
Oh, that was a good one.
Loved it.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Chris, what's your favorite episode so far?
You know, I still prefer the first one. I like.
You stole my thunder, bitch. I was just thinking the other day how like The Conjuring 2
Oh, yeah.
is
that
still
was fantastic.
it's still my favorite episode. There's
Yep.
one part in it that the hilarity of just like fucking hearing it, we have never been able to reproduce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What part? What part was it?
The part where the lady is having her visions in the basement of the house, and if you go back and listen to it, you just hear me go, okay, and then she looks over in the corner, and you see a big pile of chairs, okay, and then the chairs blow away. That shit is so weird. Fucking no reason for that to be so funny, but damn.
Yeah. We were kind of walking around in the dark with that first episode.
Yeah.
Kind of like when he goes into the nether dimension and wanders around in the dark.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's been a good ride so far.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, Rick.
We love you, buddy. We hope you feel better soon.
I wanted the impression. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome.
That was good.
Hey, tell a story about y'all's childhood.
Which one you want to hear? You want to hear the cup or the dart?
All right, how about the dart?
You ready for this, Canned?
I was not expecting this.
Welcome to Movies with Ron. Okay, I guess I was probably maybe 6 or 7 years old. Okay, we were out in our backyard, and I was up on our swing set. Now, we had a broke-ass swing set. The swing wasn't there anymore. All we had was a tether ball hanging from the top. I was actually sitting up on the tether ball, okay? Just like sitting there swinging. Okay, and it's right in front of our sliding patio door at the time. Okay, Candy comes outside from the patio door, leaves the door open, comes up, just runs up and kicks the fucking ball like a cop kicking in a door.
Are you sure? That just sounds really mean. I don't think I did that.
Oh, you did it,
I
baby.
don't remember what I did to piss you off.
That's what you did. Okay, so because of the bounce effect of her foot hitting the ball, I just fucking flew off of the tether ball, and I just landed into the dirt. The dry ass, hot fucking dirt that's underneath the swing set. Okay, it wasn't mud, and it damn sure wasn't nice soft grass. It's fucking dirty, dusty ass dirt. Okay, and I'm like, God damn it! And I'm like, it's dust everywhere. It's in my mouth. It's all over me, and I'm just like clawing, through the dirt to get up, and all of a sudden, in my hand is a dart. It was in the dirt on the ground. Okay, a real dart. Like playing darts on a dartboard, okay?
Yeah.
And not one of those safety ones with the plastic tips. This is back in the 80s, guys. And I didn't waste any time. I just sat up, fucking threw that shit at her.
Yeah, he did.
At that point, like no mercy. Okay. At that point, she had already turned around and was running into the house. Okay. And all I remember is I was still on the ground. And I just remember seeing this green dart totally hit its fucking mark and go right into the back of her calf.
That's right.
Jesus.
Okay. She was wearing shorts or capris or something. She had exposed calves.
No, it was jeans. So it was sticking in my leg, but still held up perfectly still by my jeans, by the tough material.
Man, that was a good throw.
Oh, man. It was. It was like the shot heard around the world, dude. Okay. And I remember seeing it hit and disappear into her leg. And I was like, oh, shit. I was prepared for immediate retaliation.
Did she notice? Like, when she kept running?
Yes, no.
She just kept running.
No, at some point I stopped and I turned around and I was in complete shock. by the side of a dart sticking out of my leg. What was even better was when I turned around and saw his face. It was like a look of sheer terror. Like, oh, I'm fucked. Looked on his face.
I don't remember her coming after me, though.
I did. I took after you.
Oh, man.
It was great. I don't remember what happened after that.
Neither do I.
We
I must have
blocked
blocked it out.
Yeah.
All right, guys. My Science Project, Part 2. Here it is.
All right, guys. Enjoy.
I'm sorry you had to wait an extra week for the buddy cop game we play, but it's at the end.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, good.
Have fun.
All right, guys. Enjoy.
Thank you.
So they're in the auto shop, and Mike is shining the gizmo up. Okay, he's cleaning it up, and then he accidentally touches this button, and then the side opens up or something, okay? And then he's like, oh, shit. And then he, like, touches the other side. It opens up, and as it opens up, it goes like... And he's like, oh. And then he, like, pushes the sides back in, and you can hear that it, like, charged the unit. Then it, like, fucking... A little piece of it, like, turns around, and then all of a sudden... The fucking ball, which has thus far just been like kind of glowing purple, is now like full on lightning ball.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's like, oh my God. Oh, Vinny, look at this. What the fuck is that? He's like, I don't know. What, like an engine maybe? Looks like an engine. And then it shorts out Vinny's boombox. And he's like, oh man, I just put fresh batteries in it. And then all of a sudden it lets out this big blue fucking pulse that like fills the room. Okay. They're like, what the fuck? What the hell was that? And then a Grecian urn just materializes next to it. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? What's going on here? I don't know, Mike. And they hooked it up to a car battery and shit. That's what made all that shit happen. So then the bell rings. Other kids are coming in, so they got to like hide that shit in their auto shop baskets with their names on it, and then they leave and then go outside, and they're looking at the clock, and they're like, what the fuck? That clock's got to be wrong. It's like, no, yeah, well then why is everybody fucking leaving like school's over, huh? And he's like, oh shit. He's like, yeah, we're 2 hours in the future, goddammit. What the fuck? And like, they don't fucking get it. As they were walking out of the auto shop, they didn't see it, but up in the wall above them, jammed into the wall, was like this weird looking battle axe.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
that had also like appeared. So he's like, yeah, holy shit, we're 2 years into the future. Woo! He's like, shut up, come on. So then they're in the library, and Sherman works there. And Vinny's like, hey, Sherman, how's life in the fat lane? Which is weird because Sherman is not fat. He's like, Vinny, comedian. Yeah, great. So what are you guys, lost? Like, no, we need a book. You know, well, what book? I don't know. Something about weird shit. He's like, well, what kind of weird stuff, you know? Like what? He's like, you know, I don't know. Things are like disappearing and then like reappearing. So, you know, it sounds like magic. That would be over in the section of the... No. This is like the flip side of reality type shit, you know? Then the two guys, you know, two guys just like move 2 hours into the future. Something like that. He's like, oh, yeah, sounds like you're talking about time warp paradox shit. And they're like, what's a time warp? And then, like, the little librarian Sherman tells them. And he's like, it's like a dimensional gateway, you know, where all the barriers for all the different dimensions, they can just, like, disappear. And they're like, oh, so you could, like, you know, things and people could, like, jump from one dimension to the other? And he's like, yeah, well, you know, I mean, if the warp got out of control, yeah. He's like, you know, Einstein's theory of, it wasn't relativity or whatever, but he's just, Einstein had other theories. Okay. And he's like, you know, if you lost control of the time warp, you know, if you unleashed the energy, then you would definitely lose control of it. Well, what would happen then? He's like, everything would go crazy, you know, there'd be a chain reaction, you know, there'd be weather change, and then boom, you're all cosmic dust. So then Mike and Vinny are outside, and Bob, Dennis Hopper, is walking to his car. And they're like, hey, Bob. And he's like, fuck you. You fucking skipped my final. You cut my final. Fuck you, assholes. Where the fuck were you guys? And they're like, no, we got caught up. Yeah, we got caught up in the ozone. And fucking Dennis Hopper goes, ozone, blow zone. You guys fucked up. I gotta tell you, unless your science project is fucking supremo, you both get D's. And Vinny goes, I'll take it. They're like, come on, we got to talk to you about this thing we found. You know, you're the only one that understands. Come on, cut us a break here, will you? And he's like, all right. You know, I'm off on my way to a peace rally, you know. And he holds up his necklace, which is a peace sign. And he's like, and I'm late, but I'll be here tonight grading papers at 9 o'clock. And they're like, okay, all right, cool, 9 o'clock. So then he drives off in his fucking VW microbus or whatever it is. So then Mike goes over to a payphone. Listeners are like, what's that? Okay, and there's this other nerd on one of the other phones, okay? Mike just walks up to one of the empty phones and he looks at Vinny and he's like, hey, Vinny, you got any change? Fucking Vinny, who you really love up to this point, goes up to this nerd and he just goes, come on, school tax, jellyfish. And then this fucking kid, like, is bullied into giving him money from his pocket. And then Vinny just, like, hands the change to Mike and he goes, now get the fuck out of here. And he just pushes this kid's ass right into the bushes.
Jesus.
Like really fucking hard. Picks up the phone that the kid was talking into and he goes, he had to take a leak. And then hangs it up. Okay. So then he turns around and he looks at Mike. And Mike is already on the phone, but he's looking at Vinny and he just goes, This is so fucking weird. Such a weird scene. So he calls Ellie. All right. And at home, Ellie is on her bed reading Cosmo. He's like, yeah, I wanted to know if you wanted to go out tonight. And she's like, yeah, sure. You know, what's going on? He's like, bring your camera. So then he goes home, and there's his dad and Dolores, and they are wearing formal wear. The dad is in like a blue polyester tuxedo and shit. And the house is full of pink shit. It's been redecorated. And he's like, what the fuck happened here? And she's like, oh, Michael, it's so lovely to see you again, you know? And he's like, yeah, lovely. I hardly recognize a place. He's like, come on, dog. We're going to my room. They go to his room, and then fucking Dolores looks at his dad and goes, oh, my God. I knew we shouldn't have run off to Reno and got married like a couple of lovesick puppies. He's like, don't worry, Sugar Plum. I'll have a talk with him. And he goes into his room and he's like, you are going to come outside and socialize with your new stepmother. Am I clear? And then he like leaves and fucking Mike goes, stepmother? Oh my God. So he sneaks out his window. So he's in the goat and it's pulling away. And as it pulls away, we see the bullies are in their Jeep and they're following him. So then Vinny and Mike, they break into the auto shop and they get the gizmo and then that Grecian urn that appeared to go and take it to Bob. Bullies are following him. Like, what the fuck are they doing? And Bob's in there grading papers and he's like reading one and he goes, who is the father of the H-bomb? Boy George. That's great. That's just great. So they show the gizmo to Bob. They power it up. He's like fucking amazed. Okay. And they're like, what, you don't know what this is? And he's like, oh yeah, no, I was just testing you guys, you know? And they're like, wow. And he touches it and it feels all weird and shit. And he's like, we got to find out what kind of metal this shit is. So he like puts his little tester on it and he's like, it doesn't even show up on our spectrum. This thing must be broken. And he's like, well, you know, why does it have to be broken? He's like, because if it isn't, Michael, this thing is older than Earth. And I mean, this thing is fucking weird. It's a power source, you know, and it's generating power and light without heat.
Yeah.
And then Mike's like, well, how's that possible? And he's like, it isn't. So then they're like, oh, watch this. We'll hook a battery up to it. They hook a battery up to it, and then it pulses again. Okay, and there's all this blue shit goes throughout the room. And it fucks up the power in the room a little bit. You know, it's all flickering and everything. And then the lightning ball powers up and shit. And he's like, oh, my God. Bob, he's like, this is a fucking alien civilization. This is... He's just fucking totally amazed. And he's like playing with the blue light with his hands. He's like waving it around like magic or whatever. And he's just going crazy because he's like, I feel it. It is a time warp. That's what it is. And the battery just fucking melts. And fucking Vinny's like, oh, it slimed out the battery. And Ellie's like, well, maybe we should go to the police. Bob's like, no pigs. No pigs. So then Bob, he's like, fuck it, I know what I'm going to do. And he pulls the wires off of the battery and just jams them into the electrical socket. Okay? So now it's got like an endless supply of power.
Yeah.
And it just goes crazy and it creates this big giant electricity vortex going around the room and shit. And Bob just starts like screaming out shit like, I can feel it. I can feel the power. The barriers are breaking away. The dimensional barriers. It's a gateway. You just don't know. It's pure time, pure space. I'm at the headquarters of creation. And they're like, Mr. Roberts, no. It's getting all loud and shit. And he's like, I can feel infinity. What a rush. And then his fucking Dennis Hopper's face just like stretches into like this weird thing. I don't know. I kind of want to go back and watch it. Maybe have you look at it. It looked like a fucking animatronic trick.
Yeah.
Like a practical effect. It was weird. Not like just like stretching an image. So then he's just gone. He gets sucked into the fucking vortex. Okay. And the only thing left is his peace sign necklace. All right. So they leave and they're like, we got to stop the warp. We got to stop it. And Ellie's like, is Bob dead? And they're like, I don't know. And fucking Vinny's like, great. There goes my D. So what do? We got to stop it ourselves. Well, how do we do that? Well, if we stop the surge before it gets to the power station, then it'll have to stop the warp. Well, how do we do that? We black out town. And they're like, oh yeah, black out town. So they got to blow the power lines outside of town. So they sneak and they break into his dad's hardware store. And like in every hardware store, they steal the dynamite that they sell there. Of course.
Okay.
Vinny's having fun with it. He's like holding all this fucking dynamite. And he's like, oh yeah, dun, 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 dun. And then he like drops some shit. And they're like, come on. So he's like, all right. And then he leaves. And he doesn't know that he just dropped the peace sign necklace on the floor. Okay, so now we get to a fucking badass classic scene in this movie. And that is the chase, okay, between the goat and the fucking power surge. Flying down the power lines that are alongside the highway, okay? This scene is actually pretty famous. It's almost more famous than the movie, I think, because like in the circle of like car buffs and like actual motorheads, it's in all sorts of lists, like top 20 car chases. This is in that, okay? The fucking 1968 Pontiac GTO is racing electricity.
All right.
I was actually taught that by my own personal motorhead Mike named Kevin. So I was like, you ever seen this movie? And he was like, I've only ever seen The Chase. Because it's in all those lists. So yeah, they got to fucking race this power surge that's flying down these fucking power lines. It's all big blue lightning shit, right? And they're fucking going down the highway, right? And they're not beating it, Yeah. Which is weird, I mean, they're in a fast car. Why can't they go faster than power? That's a fucking absurd chase. But it's so fucking cool to watch. Because at that point, they're like, oh, you're not going to make it. Come on, I thought you had more meat under the hood than this, Mikey. And he's like, hit the blower. Fucking turns on the blower. And then they just fucking surge forward, okay? And they leave that power surge in the fucking dust.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
And they're like, yeah, now we are talking hyperspace. And then he's like, break! And then they hit a fucking sign. But they recover quite nicely, by the way. They just kind of like slide into the dirt right next to the tower that they're going to blow up. And then they've got time. They got a couple of minutes. They're that far ahead. And you can see the power surge off in the distance, like coming down the power lines towards them. They got time to like strap the dynamite to the legs of the fucking power tower. Power tower. I don't know what the hell you call that shit.
All right.
So they get all that strapped on. They're about to detonate it, okay? And he turns the fucking knob on the detonator. It doesn't work. So he's like, oh, God, all right, my car battery. Okay, my car battery. He hooks it up to the car battery. He's like, get down. He touches it to the battery, and then the fucking shit blows up. Bam! And then, everything's covered in dust, but they're okay. And they did it. They stopped the surge. They broke the circuit. And then back at school, you see the vortex. It dies. So like, all right, let's go. They go back to the school, and the school is swarming with cops. No idea why. Anyway, like, oh man, cops. Now how are we going to get the gizmo? So they just leave. She's like, maybe we should tell the police. And they're like, yeah, what are we going to tell them? We flamed our science teacher and sent him into a warp? She's like, well, what are we going to do? Fucking Vinny's like, about 1 to 5 with good behavior. They drop Vinny off, and we see some power guys. They're already fixing the tower. so that we can have power in the town for the rest of the movie. They fix that shit right away. They pull up to Ellie's house, and we can hear on the radio they're talking about, oh yeah, now the police they're doing a big investigation now because there's been somebody purposely dynamited one of the power towers. And they're like, oh shit, what the fuck? I don't know. Well, it's okay. It's over now. We stopped it. Good night. Good night. And then she's walking away, and he's like, Ellie, I was just thinking. And then they have their tender moment together. Where he's like, I was like, a fucking motorhead, and you're like a nerd. So like, but I like you. And she's like, yeah, well, you've been under cars, and I've been in books. And then they kiss. He's like, you're right. I'm better with cars than with people. So Mike is now, he's climbing back into his window in his room. And waiting for him in the dark in his room is Richard Major. You know who that is?
No.
You ever seen the movie It?
Yeah. Oh, the dad from License to Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. He's playing this fucking like New Mexico detective. He's wearing a fucking cowboy hat and shit. He's like, welcome home, kid. Turns on the light and he's like, He's like, where you been? And, the fucking dad and Dolores walk in. They're like, more police are in the house. And it's like, cops suspect Mike for doing what he did, okay? And he's like, what the fuck? He's like, you're coming down with me to the station. And, where's your old ex-hippie pal, Bob Roberts? Where is that guy, that science teacher? He's like, I don't know. I don't know. He's like, all right, well, we're all going to the police station. So he's like, well, can I get my jacket? And he's like, yeah, fine by me. So while he's doing that, he actually makes a phone call to Ellie. And he's like, yeah, bring the gizmo to the police station, okay? And she's like, what? The police station? And he's like, yeah, come on. So then it shows Sherman going into the school. And it keeps cutting between the school and the police station. Okay, now once they get into the police station, there's this weird thing. Like they have to check in. And the guy at the desk, like the sergeant on duty at the desk, who's like, name, give me your name, what's your last name? It's the fucking sergeant on duty at the desk in RoboCop. It's the same guy, same actor. This movie was like 2 or 3 years before RoboCop. And he's like, what's your name? What's your last name? And there's like 3 or 4 conversations happening at the same time during this fucking scene. It is so weird. So then Vinny fucking looks over and he just yells out, oh, tax dollars at work. And then right there at the side in the police station is like 3 cops sitting there playing poker at a table in the fucking police station, which is full of like citizens that are all like having trouble. And these fucking cops are playing poker. And Richard Mazur keeps grabbing fucking Vinny by the back of his neck and like holding him like really hard and shit. Police brutality and shit. So he grabs him by the neck and he's like, oh, chill out, Mr. Spock. He's like, yeah, tell me a story about this, boys. And he holds up the peace sign necklace. And then Mikey and Vinny are like, fuck. At that point, we cut to Ellie at the school. And she finds the gizmo. And then Sherman is there. And he's like, what is this thing? What the fuck is this thing? This is what all the fuss was about? And she's like, yeah, no, don't touch it. It is dangerous. You could end up in another. And then Sherman just goes, dimension? So he's like, ah, and he just reconnects the power into the fucking outlet. All right. Now that the power guys have fixed the lines outside of town, the vortex comes back, and there's a big fucking blue explosion and shit, and now it's fucking serious. Now the vortex has gone up out the roof and shit, and is in the sky, and all the power in town is like flickering, and it goes out in the police station. All the lights go out and shit, everybody's freaking out. But not before this other scene I want to fucking talk about. Vinny is having his mugshot taken, okay? And he's like waving at he's wearing his sunglasses in the mugshot. And he waves and he goes, hi, Mom. And then the fucking lady cop says that line you said, why do you wear your sunglasses at night?
'Cause when you're cool, the sun shines on you 24 hours a day.
And then she's like, oh, yeah? And she grabs him and she fucking slams him up against the wall. And he's like, what the hell? And then she just fucking walks away and he's like, chill out, Butch, and get a shave. That's when the power goes out and then they escape. So Mike gets in the goat and Vinny fucking steals a squad car. And he's like, yeah, I've always wanted to do this. And they're fucking flying down the highway. All right. He's like, yeah, meet me at the school. And then fucking Vinny's like running the siren too. And he's yelling out, go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer. So then there's a fucking vortex in the sky above the school. And they're all like, oh shit. And they're about to go in the door. And then Sherman comes busting out of the door. And he's all fucked up looking and stuff. And he's like, oh, I didn't know. And they're like, where is she? Where's Ellie? Where's Ellie? And he's like, she's inside. The whole school is in the warp. And they're going to go in and get Ellie. And Vinny, true to form thus far, he just goes back over to the cop car and he like pulls out a fucking shotgun. And he's like, I'm not going in there unarmed. There's a funny thing about the shotgun later. Okay, so Sherman's like, oh, well, fuck you guys. Good luck. And then fucking Vinny's like, no. You're coming too after you, lunch meat. So they go inside. Now they're in the school, okay? This is like that moment, watching this movie as a kid, this is like your private fantasy moment. Like, you're in your school, because that's like such a huge part of your life.
Yeah.
That's where you want to be cool, is in your school. So they're in there, and it's like a dangerous place now. And it's all like mystical and science fiction-y, and they got to like get through it and be all awesome and save the day at the end. It's fucking weird. Total fucking teen fantasy shit. So all the hallways are all foggy and shit, and you see like ghost images of people from the past and the future and stuff.
It's like mixed with a different time period, right?
Yeah, there's different time periods like showing up inside. Okay. And Sherman is like, oh, these people, it's like a crossroads of space and time. And like Cleopatra, she's being carried past them, and she looks at Vinny and she's like, ooh, and she throws him a fucking lotus flower. And he's like, in love with her instantly. And he's like, oh my God, you guys. And he picks up the flower and he's like, ho, ho, ho. And he wants to go and fuck her. He's like about to leave the other two. He's like, I'm going to go. And then Mike's like, no, come on, man. Come on. We got to do this. He's like, whoa. Don't worry, man. Danger makes sex better. Some shit. And he's going to leave. And then they get attacked by a fucking Neanderthal man who looks like a big giant monkey monster. And rather than shooting him with the shotgun, Vinny hits him with it like a club. Takes him down. And they're like, what the fuck is this? And then Sherman's like, I would say that's a Neanderthal man. Yeah, well, a kick in the nuts. And he goes down just like everybody else. He throws the lotus flower onto the fucking Neanderthal. And then they leave. So now they're creeping through more hallways. And, fucking Vinny's like, I could be at home watching Magnum. So then they come upon a gladiator fight. Okay, fucking ancient Roman shit. And then the gladiator like kills the person he was fighting, and he turns to them and he starts like talking to them like he's saluting them in the arena before he's gonna kill them. And then Vinny's like, "Hey, paisano!" And he's like, "Rah rah rah." He's like speaking Italian or whatever. And then they're like, "Hey, Sherman, what did he say?" And Sherman's like, "He's going to kick our ass." And then Mike ends up getting into a fucking fight with him and turning his own little sword against him and actually killing him. And Vinny's like, holy shit, Mike, you just killed somebody who's been dead for like thousands of years. So they go into the next hall and it's all jungled out. All right. And some Viet Cong start come walking through. They got M16s and shit. And there's a downed U.S. fighter jet. And the pilot is like climbing out and they're taking him prisoner. So like, oh shit. And one of the Viet Cong is played by the Asian terrorist in every action movie.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Long hair, bald on top.
Yeah, the Nestle's Crunch terrorist.
Yes. So then they surprise them and they all fight them and nobody gets shot. The shotgun still does not get used. And they are, they beat them all. And then the POW looks at him. He's like, yeah, thanks. I owe you one, guys. And they're like, yeah, don't mention it. And he just runs off. Okay, so now they all have M16s. Mike happens to have one that's outfitted with like a flare launcher. And they're leaving. And then Sherman is like, here. And he hands Vinny his shotgun, and Vinny's like, no, it's empty now. He actually says that. It was never fired once. Fucking weird. And Vinny's like, hey, Sherman, how'd you learn how to fight so good? He's like, Cliff Notes. Like, you totally don't know. Because Sherman was like kicking ass against those Viet Cong. So now they're looking at their M16s and nobody knows how to work them. And they're like, how do you work these things anyway? And fucking Sherman just like, he like starts like taking care of his, because he knows what to do. And he's just like, well, Stoddard's Guide to Modern Weaponry says first you eject the spent clip. And he does that. And he's like, you pop a fresh clip in, you pull back the cocking mechanism, and you are ready to rock and roll. And he does all that shit. And he's like all like proud of himself and shit. And he's actually, without having known it, he was pointing his gun right into Vinny's face. And Vinny just like moves it to the side. And that makes Sherman laugh, and Sherman walks away. So then Mike and Vinny are looking at each other, and they look at their guns, and then Vinny's like, okay, what did he say? Oh, that shit was so funny. So they're walking, and now they have to fight some like weird future motherfuckers, okay? And there's all these like neon lights in the hallway and shit, and they're firing fucking laser guns at them, and like, oh, fuck! So they're shooting back and shit, and yep, they kill all of them, okay? And they're all down, and they're like, who the hell are those guys? And Sherman's like, oh, they must be mutants, from the future, like after the apocalypse. Like, oh, shit. And then, one of them wakes up, and he's like, blah, 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 blah. And he starts fucking firing some big laser cannon at him. And they're like, oh, we gotta fucking go, shit. So then they escape into the gym, which is prehistoric times.
Here we go.
So as they're in the gym, they're like holding the doors behind them shut because the mutant is still behind them. He's like coming after him, and I guess they lock it or whatever. And they're walking through the gym, and it's all like plants and shit, and you hear like fucking pteranodons in the distance and shit. And Vinny is walking through this fucking gym, and he's got like ammo belts across his chest and shit. He's like a fucking 16-year-old high school kid who was like the most badass motherfucker you ever met in your life.
Yeah.
Okay. None of the other guys are wearing that kind of shit. They look all awkward with their weapons, but Vinny is like born for this shit. So then they're like, what the fuck is all this? And then the wall of the gym like fades away, like fades out of existence. And now we see like this prehistoric landscape outside of the school. And there's like a fucking volcano and shit. And then, yep, marching into frame, a big fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex. And yeah, man, looks fucking beautiful. For its time and shit.
Yeah. That was the best.
Yeah, man. So like, holy shit, look at that. And Mike's like, you gonna make it, Vinny? And he's like, me? I'm so scared, I'm thinking about God. And then the T-Rex like kind of looks in the gym and then like decides to come in.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Vinny's like, it's God fucking Zilla. So they're hiding. All right. And then Sherman fucking sneezes. And the other guys look at Sherman. He's like, Jesus, Sherman, asshole. He's like, I'm sorry, it's my allergies. But the T-Rex sees him now. And he's like, coming at him. He's fucking roaring and shit. He looks all fucking awesome. And then Vinny, like they probably still could have hid. Okay. But Vinny's like, I've had it with this shit. And he just like jumps out and starts shooting that fucker with his fucking M16. And he's like, suck lead, lizard. Fucking shooting him and everything. Sherman fucking faints because he's so scared. The T-Rex, okay, as we all know, T-Rex have these teeny tiny little front arms, okay, as opposed to their back arms, with their little fingers, all right? And that's the whole joke, is that they can't do anything. Uh-huh. But it reaches down and it picks Vinny up in his hand. And Vinny's like, like he's getting crushed in the fingers. And then it fucking throws him or something like that. And Mike's like, oh, shit. So he gets in front of that fucking T-Rex and he's shooting at it with his M16 and everything. It's not really doing much damage. And then he cocks his fucking flare launcher and fires this fucker right into the belly of the T-Rex. Okay? And it just like burns a giant fucking hole in him. And T-Rex falls over. Falls over dead. So then Mike goes and he wakes up Sherman and he's like, "You okay? Yeah. Vinny, where are you, Vinny? Vinny! Oh God, Vinny!" And Vinny's like, "Oh God, my legs, man. Oh God." So he's like, "Okay." So he gets up and they're all moving and they move past the T-Rex, who has a hole burned in him all the way through his body, and like there is still like glowing fucking embers and flame inside of the fucking body cavity. Yeah. It's really fucking cool, okay? And then it shows Sherman. The other two have moved on, and Sherman is still kind of hanging out by the mouth, and then the head like goes like, grrr, like that moves a little bit, like it still has like some movement left in the body, right? And he freaks out, and then he leaves. And as he leaves, we get this shot of the whole T-Rex laying there dead. And it's doing that thing where the dead body has only just died and the fingers on the hand are still like, they're like twitching.
Yeah.
Like really fast. Fucking weird looking, man. Ugh. And like way ahead of its time. So they're leaving, and then Sherman, like, he turns around and he shoots the fucking scoreboard with his fucking M16, and he's like, "Ha ha ha, fuck sports." At that point, the mutants break in. And they're like, and they're fucking shooting at him and shit. And they're like, "Ah, yeah, fuck you. The check's in the mail." And they run. Okay, they're just running from these mutants the whole time now, who never really posed much of a threat. So now they're in the next hallway. They're like, "All right, go, go, go. All right, so what now? All right, we got to get Ellie. You know, we got to go to the science lab." So they get into the science lab, finally, where the gizmo is. All right, and there's the vortex going up into the fucking sky, through the fucking roof and shit. And Mike, you know, he's fucking going in. He's looking for Ellie. He's getting closer to the fucking center of the vortex. And it's all like blowing blue shit around the room and everything. And fucking Sherman is standing next to Vinny. And he's like, oh God, you know, something's going to happen. You know, sorry. Oh, la, la, la. And he's like, won't shut up. And fucking Vinny is like, "Shut up, Sherman. You're making me nuts. You're making me crazy." Mike finds Ellie. You know, he wakes her up. He's like, come on, let's go. He's carrying her out. And they're like, he's got her. And Mike's like, Ellie, can you walk? And fucking Vinny goes, "No, Ellie. The question is, can you run?" Like, let's go. Now the mutants are on the other side of that door, and they're trying to bust in. Rah, 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 rah. Okay, and they're like, "Oh, shit," you know? And they're like shooting through the door with their M16s. It's not really helping. And Mike's like, I got to stop it. You know? And he crawls in to disconnect the gizmo from the power. And he's like, crawling in, and it's hard to fight the vortex and shit. Okay? And he's getting closer, and he's getting blasted with pulses that keep coming out of the fucking gizmo, all right? And there's all this fucking tense music and shit. It's like, da-da-da, da-da-da. And then he just like fucking swats the wires out of the receptacle and fucking breaks the connection and stops the vortex. But as the vortex is dying down, Mike fucking disappears into the time warp and is gone. Okay? And Ellie's like, Michael! And like, he's gone! Mike, he's gone! And then he just reappears. And he's back. Okay? So then they're like, all right, he's back! All right? There's a whole lot of cheering on for their friends in this movie. So then Ellie and Mike, they're like, "Are you okay? Yeah, are you okay? Yeah." They have a tender little moment. And he's like, "There's no time for romance. Let's go." So we cut to outside, and it's the cops. You know, they're all outside of the school. And then it like immediately cuts to Richard Mazer looking at a squad cop, like a street cop. Mm-hmm. He just goes, "You thought you heard what?" So we get this little moment with Vinny and Sherman. And Vinny's like, Sherman, you're all right, for a wimp virgin. And Sherman's like, coming from a greaseball like you, I take that as a high compliment. So, they're going to be okay. And at that point, we just hear from off camera Dennis Hopper going, "Hell no, we won't go. Hell no, we won't go." And then he fucking comes out of the school, and he is actually dressed in the same outfit he was wearing in the movie Easy Rider. With all the fringe jacket and shit, the fucking long hair. And then Richard Mazer is like, "I'll be dipped in shit." So Bob is back, all right? And he's like, "I was in the 60s, fuck yeah. I went through the time warp and everything. It was amazing. I was at Beatles concerts, fucking free love and shit." And then Mazer comes up behind him and he's like, "What's your name, cowboy?" And fucking Dennis Hopper just turns around to him and goes, "Robert Roberts, Esquire, to you, honky." And then he turns back and he's talking to the kids again. He's like, yeah, well, where you been? He turns around and he's like, Woodstock, oinker. Fucking Mike is like, what's Woodstock? And Major just starts arresting fucking Bob. Starts cuffing him behind his back. And fucking, he doesn't care though. He's like so happy about life. And he's talking to Mike and he's like, yeah, Mike, all right, you got an A on your science project, okay? On one condition, all right? The whole time as he's being arrested and read his rights. Okay, he's like, you got to get rid of the gizmo, all right? The world can't handle it. It's only for rare individuals like myself, okay? And the future is a groove, man. All right, I made sure of that. And then, like, it shows the kids, and they're like, what the fuck? And it cuts back to Dennis Hopper, and he's like, it's a funky valley high. Easy on the fringe, Kojak. And he gets put in a fucking car. So then it cuts to Mike and Ellie, and they're back out in the junkyard, all right? And they are putting the gizmo back. Back in the junkyard. And then it actually shows Mike, like, pulling the trap door back shut. Okay? And like spreading some dirt over it for the next asshole that's going to fall into it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then they're driving home on that same lonely highway, right? And then the car fucking dies. All right? And Mike's like looking at its gauges and shit, and he's like, He looks at Ellie and he's like, we're out of gas. And she's just like looking like, oh shit. And he goes, lucky we're close to town. And she's like, what do you mean? How's that lucky? You know? Well, we can walk it. And she's like, but if we walk into town, then the whole world. And he's like, hey, it's just a car, right?
Yeah.
And she's like looking at him and smiling and nodding like, oh, he's finally getting it. And she just goes, right. And
Character development.
Yeah. And they get out of the car and they just start walking down the highway. And as they're walking away, the camera begins to pan up to look at the sky, the stars again, but not before we see a little electrical arc on the bumper of the car. You know, so there might be a little more gizmo magic
Oh, shit.
left going on, right? Camera pans up to the stars, and then the credits start rolling. Okay?
Please don't.
Fuck yeah.
You know.
I knew there was a song like that.
He fucking wrote a fucking song with the title of the movie in it.
It's a fucking great song.
All right, so as that's playing, we got the credits rolling, and they're just like constantly laid over photos of different scenes in the movie. Okay, now interspersed throughout all this, we get a few stingers throughout the credits, and they're all stingers of fucking Vinny. All right, and like just like his life in school after the incident and shit, and fucking one of them is like they're in the lunch line. All right, and in the lunch line, there's just like a whole bunch of foot-long hot dogs, okay, like up on the counter. And he's just like walking up there, and he's like, he looks at this guy next to him, and he's like, the fuck are you looking at? All right. And he's just like stealing the meat out of all of these foot-long hot dogs. He's got like a handful of foot-long wieners, okay, and then he leaves, okay, and then the credits come back, all right, for a little while. And then again, it shows this table full of all of these girls sitting there eating lunch. And then Vinny fucking walks up to him. And he's like, hey, girls, what's for lunch, huh? And then he just like twirls all these fucking hot dogs. And then it fucking cuts out again. And then later it shows him in the fucking hallway. And a couple of girls walk by him. And he's like, hey, girls, boola boola. And then they kind of snub him, right? They just walk past him like, fuck you. And then behind him is fucking Reenie, all right, with a hockey stick. And she's like, you little weasel. And then he's like, ah! And he runs. And then after that, we got more photos and shit. And the very last photo of the credits is fucking Vinny's mugshot. And as that shows, you hear a little sound from like the time warp, like, and then that's it. That's the signature of the movie, baby.
Jesus.
That's it.
That was epic.
Fuck yeah.
God, I love that movie.
Fucking love that movie.
Yeah. I could remember every set.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Uh-huh. Now, in case
Couldn't remember the movie, but yeah, I could visualize it.
Yeah. In case anyone is wondering, yes, this movie is on YouTube right now.
Ah, fuck yeah.
So check it out. Just look it up. There's actually 3 or 4 different files of it. So it's there, guys. So there you have it. My science project on Movies with Ron. This was fun.
Oh, man, it was.
Yeah.
I liked this.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to watch this movie like every other night in my room when I was in high school because I found it. I found our copy of the VHS
Uh-huh.
and I just had it and I was like, you know what? Yeah, shit.
You just kind of accepted it into your own
Uh-huh.
collection.
Yeah.
All the while I was like, where the hell is my movie?
It was with me. And yeah, that is a good movie. Oh, my
yeah.
God.
Everybody needs to see this flick at least once.
Yeah.
This is a 80s classic staple.
It's so important that when it came out on digital,
Uh-huh.
Dad announced to me, now there's my science project on there.
Really?
Yeah, he had downloaded it.
We have such a fucking cool dad.
Yeah, hey Dad.
I love that. Yeah, you know what? Speaking of Dad, how about this? Dad, happy belated birthday.
Happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday. You guys ready for this game?
Baby, I was born ready.
You ready, baby?
Now, I said you should pick 2 actors that are unalike.
Yeah.
I went the opposite. I don't know why. I defied my own advice.
Huh.
I still like it, though.
All right.
What is it?
Here we go. You got a title of your movie, right? Everybody's got to have that.
Oh, shit. Now, mine is called Stunt Troubles. My 2 actors are Sam Rockwell
Yeah.
and Simon Pegg.
Yeah, all right. All right.
Yeah. You wouldn't imagine them together.
Yeah, they would be good together, though.
Yes. Yeah. They are stunt doubles.
Uh-huh.
Sam Rockwell is on this film. Sam Rockwell is Benedict Cumberbatch's stunt double,
Okay.
and Simon Pegg is Jack Nicholson's. Simon Pegg is more like the stunt double that would play a woman, put on a dress and a wig, and
Yeah, sure.
do some serious shit. All right, so they get treated like grunts,
Uh-huh.
you know, and they're unappreciated, while the actors they double for get all the money and fame.
Yeah.
Right? So, Jack Nicholson and Benedict Cumberbatch play stuck-up versions of themselves. And the movie that they're all filming in my movie is itself a buddy action comedy.
Okay.
So, they become friends. At one point, they're bonding. Sam Rockwell's looking in the mirror because he's got the Hollywood virus where he's worried about his looks.
Yeah.
Even though he's just a stunt guy. And he's like, you think I could look like Benedict, you know?
Yeah.
And Simon Pegg's like, mate, you know, he's British and shit.
Yeah.
He's like, fucking Benedict Cumberbatch looks like he was fucking run over with a steamroller and someone tried to inflate him back up again,
Yeah.
which is how he looks.
Ooh, shots fired.
So he makes Sam Rockwell feel better. But then there's this last shot of Simon Pegg looking at himself in the mirror and he's like, you think I could look like Jack? So they get wrapped up in an adventure where we learn they are nearly indestructible.
Yeah.
They are good stuntmen.
Okay.
So when they are the main characters, they're good action heroes.
Oh, yeah.
Even though the actors themselves, you know, Buster Keaton was an indestructible guy.
Right.
But they're not big and strong.
Right.
In the end, they become heroes and get famous by being themselves.
All right.
Stunt troubles.
Lesson learned.
Well, I take it is my turn.
Well, you tell me.
All right. it is my turn. The name of my movie is Federal Private Eyes. And it stars Jason Statham. And at the beginning of the movie, he is a federal bureau investigator. He is an agent for the FBI.
Uh-huh.
And there is some shenanigans going on in a city. And he is dispatched to go and check it out. Because crime is rising.
Uh-huh.
And there are more dirty cops than ever.
Yeah.
And he is the only law in this city, it seems. And everybody is coming after him. And the case that he has been dispatched to check out has to do with drug dealings, and it involves cops.
Okay.
So he cannot trust anybody.
Right.
Who can he trust?
Exactly. There is a source. Someone who's done their own investigations. And it is from a private investigator
Okay.
played by Danny McBride.
All right.
And Danny McBride is so weathered and
Hard.
Funny.
and hardened from all the crime and shit.
Fucking Danny McBride, you guys. Shit.
Yes. And he is just the toughest private investigator there is.
I would absolutely go see a movie with Jason Statham and Danny McBride.
And they end up teaming up and taking it all down.
All right.
And
Fuck
that
yeah.
is Federal Private Investigators.
We're the FBI. I like it. Shit.
All right.
I like that one. All right.
What you got?
Mine's called Prison Barbers. It stars Jeffrey Rush and Zach Galifianakis.
Ah, shit.
All right. So they're prison barbers, okay? Now, I don't know exactly what the world of prison barbering is like. So I'm winging it, all right?
Prison Barber.
That's exactly why I named it this. So Jeffrey Rush is like really fucking weird looking, okay? He's got like fucking buck teeth and like big thick glasses and shit. And here's the irony of him being a prison barber is that he always has like horrible dandruff. And it's like always all over his shoulders, okay? Zach Galifianakis is fucking Zach Galifianakis because that's all he ever plays, okay? So Zach's backstory is that he was a high-end salon stylist in New York. Okay, he was a fucking Paul Mitchell, all right?
Yeah.
And he was like untouchable. Okay, he was perfect, and success got to his head, and he went on all these drug benders and shit. He ended up losing everything. Okay, it shows all this in flashbacks. There's like excitements and shit. He had shows, you know, fucking cameras flashing everywhere, treating everybody like shit. Okay, then Jeffrey Rush's backstory is that this is all he has ever done. It's the only life he knows. Prison barbering.
Is he a prisoner?
No.
Okay.
I assume that the life of a prison barber is not a 40-hour-a-week job. So maybe they only come in like 2 days a week. Fuck if I know.
All right.
All right, so one day while Jeffrey Rush is given, he's given his haircuts and shit, he's given an envelope, okay, by the big badass fucking prisoner that like runs the show inside prison, okay? And he's played by Russell Crowe, all right, who is bald and covered in tattoos, okay? And he orders him to give it to his estranged wife, all right? Then we have a little side story with Zach Galifianakis, and he has got a crush on a female guard, all right? This guard is played by Zoe Saldana.
Nice.
Okay, he's got a crush on her. They actually end up on an awkward date, okay? Because he's like not good with people anymore, He's never really known how to treat them like equals. And he ends up during the course of the awkward date, he ends up doing her hair for her, okay? And she's like very impressed because he's still got it, But like no one will like fucking listen to him or give him the time of day anymore because he's just like outcast. So later in the movie, she ends up getting him into the women's wing of the prison. Okay, he starts doing their hair and shit, and he is a fucking mega hit. All right, they love him.
Holy
There's
shit.
like this whole sequence of him like doing all this fucking like he's doing it again. He's back in his element, okay? And they're all like wearing orange jumpsuits, okay? But they're like they have fantastic hair. Okay? There's a big montage of him like bonding with Jeffrey Rush, okay? And he like teaches Jeffrey Rush how to do women's hair and shit. There's like this big musical montage of like Jeffrey Rush being able to do it, okay? And, you know, but Jeffrey Rush, he still does the guy's hair and everything, and he ends up at one point there is this one prisoner in this particular prison that's like a super fucking killer, okay? And everybody's fucking afraid of him. He's like the Hannibal Lecter, okay, of this prison. Everyone fears this guy. It's played by Vin Diesel. Okay, doesn't say much, you know, shit like that. Anyway, elsewhere, Jeffrey Rush ends up going and delivering the envelope because he's scared of Russell Crowe, okay? And he meets Russell Crowe's wife, who is played by Molly Shannon. Okay? And turns out she is Russell Crowe's fucking drug mule. All right?
Okay.
And so if Russell Crowe, who's like running this big heroin operation in prison, if he goes down, so does she. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So she ends up like connecting with Jeffrey Rush. She begs him for his help. They end up fucking, and then they fall in love. Okay? This is also the first sex he's ever had. Jeffrey Rush, who's like 70 years old.
Dude, we need to make this movie.
I know. Okay. So then Jeffrey Rush, feeling the pressure to help Molly Shannon, you know, he finally confides in Zach Galifianakis for help. All right? So then Zach and Jeffrey Rush, they come up with a plan, okay? And then they start selling the drugs in the prison, okay? And they're like doing it all the while they're fucking doing the fucking hair cutting and shit, all right? And they're like hiding heroin in the shaving powder and stuff like that. And they're like smuggling the money out in the hair clipping bags, you know? Okay.
I thought we were almost done. This is holy shit.
Russell Crowe ends up figuring everything out, okay? So then he like sends goons on the outside to go after Jeffrey Rush, okay? And Jeffrey Rush and Zach Galifianakis, they end up having a big fucking showdown with the goons in like an abandoned warehouse, you know? And they don't know what to do because they're all like fucking awkward weirdos, you know? And so then all the while, Zach, like, he gets like a phone call from Zoe Saldana, okay? And he's like, oh my God, they're going to kill us. They're going to kill us. Zoe ends up going and talking to Vin Diesel. And, you know, it's all weird and dangerous and shit, but she ends up talking to him. He ended up, while he was cutting Vin Diesel's hair, Jeffrey Rush, he ended up connecting with him somehow. He was the only person who could do it. He ended up, I don't know, shaving like a $sign into the side of his head or something like that.
Okay.
And like no one ever did that for him or anything. So like now Vin Diesel like loves Jeffrey Rush, okay? And so Zoe goes and talks to him, and then Vin Diesel ends up cornering Russell Crowe. And like I said, he's the only one that everybody in prison fears.
Yeah.
So it's all fucking scary and shit. And Vin Diesel has a shiv. And everybody knows that Vin Diesel with a shiv. Everyone is going to die. So then Vin Diesel makes Russell Crowe call off his goons, okay? And he does it, right? And then the goons, they end up just leaving. So Jeffrey Rush and Zach Galifianakis, they're like, gonna be okay. You know, they're out in that abandoned building or whatever. And fucking Vin Diesel, of course, I gotta throw this kind of shit in here, all right? Vin Diesel's just like, yeah, congratulations. And Russell Crowe's like, for what? He's like, on being my new wife. And Russell Crowe like pulls a face like, okay. The epilogue of the movie is Zach Galifianakis, fucking Zoe Saldana, Jeffrey Rush, and Molly Shannon. They have all escaped. They've used all the drug money to go and open a salon in like Bora Bora or some shit, okay? So they're like living the high life and everything. And then as the movie is over, there's credit stingers of Vin Diesel and Russell Crowe's life together. Okay, after that.
Jesus Christ.
Like Vin Diesel like makes Russell Crowe like have tea parties with him and shit, and they're like cuddling in bed. And that's it. That's Prison Barbers.
I'll bet all these actors would agree to do this
I
movie.
fucking wish they would, man.
Dude, even Russell Crowe. Holy shit.
I think the one person that we would have the hardest time getting to want to do this would probably be Vin Diesel, but I still think he would do it.
Yeah. The first time Jeffrey Rush sees him, Vin Diesel like walks into the hair cuttery and he just sits down. Jeffrey Rush doesn't know what to do and he's shaking, and Vin Diesel's like, "Make me beautiful." Make me beautiful.
Fucking cuts a $sign into his head.
Be the first movie where Vin Diesel has hair.
Yep. No, that's not true. He's had hair in a couple. That one where he was defending himself in court, he had hair in that one.
I think we all had pretty good ones today.
Hell yeah. Well, all right, guys. There you go. That's one hell of an episode for you.
All right.
Remember to leave a rating and review on iTunes. Check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Movies with Ron. And check out movieswithron.com. You can send us an email where, Chris?
movieswithron@gmail.com.
And remember to spread the love, guys. Tell your friends about us. Get everybody to listen to us. And you will be blessed.
All right. It's been fun.
All right. Love you guys.
Take care.
Movies with Ron.